I have a Ewing sarcoma, which is a bone tissue cancer, and I was first diagnosed in my left leg, in my fibula, and then when it reoccurred, it was both actually, because I just had a reoccurrence again.
I think everybody who goes through an illness wants to do something, but not everybody has the ability to do that or has the time to do that. I think we realized, our family realized that we could.
The whole point of the Sarah Cook Fund is kids helping kids, and it's not just parents donating money, but it was my friends who originally were like, I want to help. And I think that's also what touched me in a way, that there were so many kids that wanted to help.
Sarah was, spending the nights with her father, and I would spend the days. And as we would shift over in the morning, we would talk about, what did you and your dad talk about last night? And they would lie awake at night, looking around, seeing some of the paint off the walls. And they said, we need to help these patients and other families that are here.
They have completely revolutionized the way we care for children and families. As they say, when they arrived, medically they were well taken care of, but there were a lot of other things that were lacking.
Back about 7 years ago, we refurbished the Montreal Children's Hospital. It was called 8D at the time, and now it's called Sarah's Floor. And now moving forward, we are moving to the new Glen Yards site, and we're helping to build Sarah's Floor at the Glen Yards.
This ward is probably the jewel of the hospital right now. A lot of people are envious, and it just, when you've got a sick child and they're quite ill, potentially, and they're here perhaps for weeks or months at a time, you need to have a comfortable environment, and you need to have diversions for that child. You want to try to keep the child as much a child as possible, not necessarily a patient. And they've provided a lot in that direction. She would know very much about what it's like to live on the floor, because you spent a lot of time here. Your son was recently transplanted, had a bone marrow transplant, and so you spent weeks on end here.
Yeah, he's gotten because of not only the doctors, but also, the nurses. The nurses, they're amazing here too, so they do the best to help us get through it, even in hard times. Even if you need a shoulder to cry on, the nurses, they're there also. So
it took a little bit longer. We ended up renovating the entire floor instead, because we had done so well with all our fundraising that we were able to go beyond my original dreams. We were able to get new beds for the parents and new beds for the kids and new color paint the rooms, and every kid gets their own bathroom.
This is part of the palliative care twin rooms, so this is where the family would stay. The couches fold out into beds, and they could sleep there. There's a little kitchenette, as you could see, a little dining table.
Sarah went back to school when she could, once a month, during the year that she was having chemotherapy and radiation. And she would go there, and the kids would say, what can we do? And so kids started having birthday parties, and instead of getting gifts that year, they would say, I want to give money to the children's.
My friends all knew me from school, and they knew me personally, but when you hear a story about a little girl having her birthday party now, when I'm almost 20 and she's 8 years old now, raising money and being like, she heard of the Sarah Cook Fund and was like, I'm going to do that. It's a whole new level, because they're taking the new initiative, and they're taking the torch now of kids helping kids.
The 401 Bike Challenge is one of our flagstone events that helps to raise funds not only for the Montreal Children's Hospital, but Toronto Sick Kids. And it's a group of wonderful riders that has grown over the years that it has been running, and they help to raise the dollars that we require here.
Let me just say a few words about Sarah's Floor. Most of you probably have not visited Sarah's Floor, but some of you may remember that hospitals were gray, battleship gray, a disgusting green, dull floors, and it's a pleasure to walk onto Sarah's floor at the present time with pastel colors, a terrific art collection, and delightful rooms, which has made an incredible difference to our patients in particular, but also to our staff. The morale improved 100% when Sarah's floor opened a few years ago.
Here, we can't work without this person. This is Jessica, our chief pharmacist, and one of our expert nurses, Mackie.
I vowed during my fight that I would help other children going through cancer, but obviously I can't do it alone. Jean, Angie, Lauren, and James, the founders of the Piccoli Family Fund, thank you for believing in my dream and helping me realize it.
We, Angie, Jean, Angie, James, Lauren, and myself are eternally grateful. We are exceptionally proud. Thank you so much for being part of this ride. Thank you.
To all the riders, donors, friends, and volunteers, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'd also like to say a special thank you to Dr. Mitchell, who is a rider here today, who continues to be there with me throughout my cancer journey.
It turns out that one of the nurses on the ward where I work has a daughter who was treated on Sarah Cook's ward because of cancer. And when she found out that I was doing it, she told me about her experience there, the care of the staff, the kinds of resources that were available for the families. And it made me realize that this is not just a ride to test my ability to ride, but it's for such a good cause. And as I've done the ride and I've met people on it, some of the people who do the ride have been the parents of children who benefited from being on Sarah Cook's ward.
My son was diagnosed with leukemia when he was 11 months old, went through treatment, 6 months of treatment, and then he was in remission for 4 months before he relapsed. And then after that, we did another round of chemo, radiation, and finally he got a bone marrow transplant on July 9th, 2008. And he was taken care of here on the Sarah Cook floor at the Montreal Children's. And so when we left the hospital and he was healthy, I kind of thought about giving back to the hospital, and so I did a couple of rides, the Tour de Lance, and now for 2 years I've been doing the CIBC for One Bike Challenge.
I would just say, keep fundraising. We'll get there someday.
We need to address this disease, and I think it's I think more and more people are taking it to heart, and I think that's a wonderful thing.
I remember listening to someone speak, and cancer won't be cured overnight, but little by little, throwing one stone at a time will knock it down, and eventually one day it'll be something of the past, and that's all you can wish for. And just by keep fundraising and making a difference, we'll get there.